Hi, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of the Tiny Brains podcast. I'm Kevin Joyce, CEO at Tiny Brains, and with me is Peter Graham, the Brigadier of Brains.
Good afternoon, all.
So, in the blazing heat of the British summer, we're going to go through the biggest stories in XR from the previous week, and we're going to start off with a pretty big investment.
That's it. Vuzix, who you may have heard of, these guys have been around for a couple of decades now, have just announced a new 5 million investment from a group called Quanta Computer. These guys are based in Japan, not Japan, they're based in Taiwan. They're an ODM, but they also very well known for being a major Apple assembler. And these guys have just dropped 5 million into Vuzix, do they make smart glasses, AR glasses? They specialize. Generally, it's in enterprise, isn't it, Kev? So, have you heard much?
Yes, I have tried. Sorry, carry on, Pete.
Have you heard much about this so far?
I've just heard that the investment happened. I haven't heard much about what it's for, but I have tried many Vuzix devices in the past, and they've always been they range from mid to high end. And the mid-tier ones are okay, the high-end ones are very good.
Well, this can actually continues an investment from Quanda because they actually invested 10 million in Vuzix last year. And so this adds onto their investment portfolio. But the reason that it catches our interest is, like I say, Vuzix mainly are enterprise, but they're going to use this investment to go far more consumer. They have released about a couple of years ago, they released a consumer set or more consumer friendly set of smart glasses. And now this is going to push them so they can basically make their waveguides cheaper, accelerate their engineering and their manufacturing, and essentially tackle or go head to head with some of the big guys like we've talked about in the past, like Meta. Mhm.
Yes, year of consumer AR, as we've discussed many times on this podcast, before the end of the year. We're not saying now, but there will be more consumer products out there, and Meta in particular have been going pretty hard, as a new rumor would suggest.
That's it indeed. Now, Meta have teamed up with Excelsior Lux Octa, always get that wrong, with their brand Ray-Ban, and they've also teamed up with a brand called Oakley, which you probably may say it's still part of the same company, all part of the same under the same umbrella. Well, now the recent rumor is that Prada are going to be getting in with Meta and licensing their brand for smart glasses. And if you know anything about the glasses industry, Excelsior Luxottica are also part of the Prada group. Well, I say Prada group. Prada are licensed their brand to this company. And so it looks like, or it sounds like, from recent CNBC reports, that yes, Prada are going to be happy to, have some sort of hardware inside their sunglasses. And the reason that this is quite interesting is because any fashionista will know that Prada sunglasses are quite chunky, whereas Ray-Ban's a little bit more slimline. Prada, far more chunky, so there's a lot more space to fit a lot more tech or some bigger batteries, which could be quite exciting.
This is exactly what I thought about the Oakley situation as well. Obviously, Oakley typically, not always, but typically are on the sports end of the glasses, right? That's how they position themselves. Ray-Bans are the high street, Oakley is the sports end, and Prada are the high-end fashion. And Oakley glasses are typically larger in size than Ray-Bans as well. So is this going to be a free tier going up, and they also go up in price. So is there going to be a free tier? So Ray-Bans are for the average everyday man on the street. Oakley is going to be more comprehensive for sporting activities. I don't know, maybe some kind of like tracker for fitness and things like that in there as well. And then Prada, yeah, maybe.
I think so too. Like you say with the Oakley, they're going to have the currently rumored because the announcement is supposed to be happening very soon. That they're going to have cameras in the middle, so it won't have a dual camera system, camera on the side. So yeah, lots of smart glasses, lots of sunglasses for this lovely summer.
Which will all launch in October when it's pitch black in England. But still, Next summer, you'll have your own sunglasses with cameras built in to capture all your athletic ability when you're snowboarding down the non-snowy hills in England. Um, but yes, either way, whatever the market potential for these three separate lines is, it is more smart glasses coming for consumer audiences available anywhere you would purchase sunglasses or fashion at all. So it's great. It's great for immersive tech. Love it. More of it.
Read on.
So on something that we don't love now, one of the biggest titles, games, applications even in VR is no longer supporting PSVR 2.
No, this came as quite a shock to, I think, everyone really, because there were no rumors beforehand like we normally get. But yes, essentially, Beat Games, owned by Meta, have announced that Beat Saber will no longer support PlayStation VR and PlayStation VR 2 from this month, which is quite a
So
shock for
yeah,
PlayStation VR 2 owners.
there's two ways we can interpret this. Okay. The first way is PSVR 2 is dead. Okay. That's the way most people have been jumping at it. And to be fair, you can see the logic behind this. Another way to interpret it is that Meta simply no longer want to support the competition. I believe, I don't know, but I believe there was some money that exchanged hands to bring Beat Saber to the PlayStation VR in the first place. And maybe that agreement has now expired and Meta no longer have interest in supporting it. Obviously, Sony, if that is the case, Sony aren't going to re-up because they're not really supporting PSVR 2 anymore or PlayStation, the original PlayStation VR. So maybe it is the money well ran dry. Maybe it is PSVR 2 has fallen flat on its ass. We don't know. But either way, we're really sorry to all you PlayStation VR players out there that still love the bit Beat Saber.
Exactly, because it still ranks in. If you look at the PS downloads every single month, Beat Saber is always there. It's not necessarily at the number one like it used to be consistently, but if you look at last month, it was still like five and around the top five, which means it's still selling. It's not free. It's still selling well amongst new users. So it is a bit of a shame. And just an addition to that, the multiplayer side of things, that is going to disappear on when have I got the details for that? The multiplayer support is going to end next January the 21st, so you still got a little while left to enjoy the multiplayer. Obviously, you can still buy Beat Saber on those platforms. They're not going to be delisted. They're just not going to get any more support. They're just not going to get any new DLC. The last DLC that arrived was Lady Gaga's Abracadabra, which arrived a couple of weeks ago, and that is essentially the last music that it's going to get officially. There you go.
Closing the door.
Yeah,
And in a troubling week for VR gaming, we have more bad news.
yeah. And again, from Meta, this time they have announced that support is ending for one of their platform's most popular VR shooters, Onward. Now, yeah, bit of a sad one, really. Onward was originally launched in 2016, and it has been one of the longest running supported titles. And yeah, now the Onward 2.0 was released a few months ago, and essentially that's it. No more support.
So this goes even further though, because
No, it does.
the studio that responsible for Onward is being merged.
Yeah. So bye bye Downpour Interactive, and all the staff that are in Downpour Interactive aren't losing their jobs. Thankfully, they are being merged into Camouflage. Camouflage are most famous for most recently for the Batman VR game, Arkham Shadow, but they also released Iron Man VR as well. So they are quite a big studio internally. Again, they're acquired by Meta, and yeah, they're sort of subsuming Downpour. So at least people aren't losing their jobs, as far as we know.
So Camouflage is quite a well-respected studio in VR. So yeah, this isn't terrible news, but again, it goes into this: what is Meta's plan for the future? Are we going to see less games but higher quality games? Does it affect that? Is Camouflage just going to make two titles at a time now? We don't really know what this means, but it does mean it's a sad day for Onward fans in the same way that it's a sad day for Beat Saber fans.
And that's it. And this is the second studio that Meta have closed after acquisition. Last year it was Ready at Dawn. Isn't it? So there's another one gone.
So we're going to end with some positive news, as
Yes.
we always like to. Sticking with
Excited.
gaming for a bit, and this time for from a UK studio.
Yay, Maze Theory. They are working on they're currently working on a little game called Thief VR at the moment, and that's due out later this year.
On
But
everything.
yeah, on everything. But a recent job listing has given us hints about what's coming next. And it's called Project Xeno, and it's going to be an affiliation with an upcoming movie that's being developed. Now, I think the same as you, Kev, if we hear Project Xeno, what do you expect that it might be related to?
It can't be, right? Servius have the license. So
Well, Ridley Scott is making, it has already been confirmed to be making a new Aliens film. Now, how long this will be, this may be 2 or 3 years out. We don't know yet. So the IP may move over. But calling a Project Xeno it's got Alien written all over it, hasn't it? But it's from a job listing.
no, no, it's
Any
not.
detail, so
It can't.
you can pick at it as much as you like, really.
Yeah, can't be. It's not. It's just in our heads.
Yeah, yeah. Maze Theory are known not just for the upcoming Thief, but they do have handled big IPs in the past. Doctor Who and Peaky Blinders are the two main ones. They released two games over a few years ago based on both IPs. No, they are series rather than a film IP, but even so, that means if it's going to be a big IP, they're some of the best to handle it.
So yeah, so that is much more positive than the previous two stories, and we do like some positive news on this podcast. So if you've got any, make sure to reach out to us, and we'll see if we can chat about it on this podcast next week or the week after, or whenever you reach out. Thank you all for watching. As always, we will see you again next week.